It is often said that humans, at their core, are deeply influenced by instinctual behaviors and emotional triggers that transcend the realm of reason and conscious thought. The notion of touch, particularly in intimate settings, occupies a fascinating and crucial space in human interaction, and when explored through the lens of gender dynamics, it becomes even more compelling. In a world where social norms and expectations constantly evolve, the power of physical touch remains a fundamental aspect of connection, attraction, and communication. For men, touch has a profound effect on their psychology, their feelings, and their perception of the woman who initiates it. But not all touches are created equal, and there are certain places on a man's body that, when touched, elicit an immediate and often undeniable response. These responses, while unique to the individual, can be largely attributed to biological and psychological factors, deeply embedded in the ways men process stimuli, connection, and intimacy. To understand the powerful influence that touch can have in particular areas of the male body, we must first acknowledge that touch is more than just physical. It is a form of communication, a language in and of itself. As much as words are powerful in their ability to convey meaning and intention, touch serves as a silent but equally potent medium through which deeper emotional states can be unlocked. These hidden or subtle forms of communication are often missed in everyday interactions, yet they play a significant role in how relationships are formed, nurtured, and evolved. In this context, certain touches can send messages that words may never convey, establishing connection, building intimacy, and creating a magnetic pull between individuals. When one considers which parts of a man's body are most responsive to touch, it is easy to fall into the trap of reducing the conversation to physicality alone. Yes, there is the obvious connection between touch and attraction, but the real power lies in the way these areas are interconnected with deeper emotional currents. These touch points act as bridges, crossing the gap between the superficial and the profound. Through these places, a simple touch can transcend its physical nature and tap into the psychological, creating a potent blend of desire and connection. One of the most universally responsive areas is the chest. The chest area, particularly the upper chest around the clavicles and the sternum, holds a tremendous amount of emotional energy. This is, after all, the region closest to the heart, the symbolic seat of emotion, passion, and vulnerability. For many men, a gentle touch to this area can evoke a rush of feeling. The response here is multifaceted. There is the physical stimulation, but more significantly, there is an emotional trigger that resonates deeply with a man's sense of openness and trust. A touch to the chest can feel both protective and intimate, signaling an emotional depth that words alone may fail to express. It conveys care, understanding, and a willingness to be close on a level that goes beyond the superficial. For a man, this touch can invoke a sense of being seen and understood. And for a woman, it can be a way of communicating a level of closeness and affection that transcends verbal cues. In a similar vein, the back, specifically the lower back, acts as another powerful touch point. The lower back is a region that is both physical and symbolic, often linked to core strength and stability. For men, this area holds deep emotional resonance, as it is associated with a sense of support, protection, and balance. A light touch on the lower back can send signals of reassurance and grounding, making the individual feel safe and secure in the presence of the one who initiated it. The psychological effects of a touch to this region are profound, as it signifies a kind of nonverbal commitment to providing support and stability in the relationship. The back, as a whole, is often an area that is left untouched, making it all the more powerful when someone dares to make physical contact there. The lower back touch particularly is seen as a form of intimate signaling, a gesture that may not be overt, but carries a depth of meaning that is felt intensely by the receiver. A third area that warrants attention is the neck. The neck is not only a highly sensitive part of the body, but also a symbolic one. It is vulnerable, exposed, and often associated with submission or surrender. The touch of the neck can trigger a profound emotional response because it speaks to a man's subconscious desire for trust and surrender. The vulnerability of this region creates a paradox. The more vulnerable a person feels in a situation, the more trusting they are in that moment. When a woman touches a man's neck, it communicates a willingness to be intimate, to lower the defenses, and to establish a deeper connection. The neck is a place where tension and relaxation coexist, and thus, a touch here can bring about both relaxation and heightened awareness, triggering an intense physical and emotional reaction. It's no wonder that many men find a gentle, lingering touch around the neck to be one of the most stimulating and emotionally moving gestures of intimacy. Another area that cannot be overlooked is the forearm. The forearm may not seem like a traditionally sensual part of the body, but its psychological significance is noteworthy. The forearm is a place that is both accessible and yet can hold significant meaning when touched. Unlike the chest or neck, which may carry overtly sexual or intimate connotations, the forearm holds an understated elegance and grace when touched in a delicate and intentional way. The forearm is a part of the body that is often overlooked in casual touch, and yet it is a place that, when touched with intention, can evoke a sense of closeness, calm, and even admiration. It is a subtle form of connection, one that speaks to the tenderness and quiet depth of the relationship. The touch of a forearm may evoke feelings of mutual respect and understanding, and in many ways, it can be even more powerful than more overtly intimate gestures because it carries with it a sense of mutual consent and appreciation for the other person's space and presence. Finally, the hands deserve mention as one of the most profound places to touch. Hands, often regarded as tools of action, creation, and communication, also serve as an expression of connection and presence. For men, the touch of a hand, whether it's a simple brushing of fingers or a more lingering grasp, can convey a wide range of emotions from affection to deep longing. The hands are deeply symbolic, capable of forming bonds, crafting words, and creating change. A touch on the hands can symbolize both a literal and figurative connection, serving as a bridge between two individuals. In many cultures, the act of holding hands is seen as a powerful expression of unity, solidarity, and partnership. It is a simple yet profound gesture that conveys a desire to be close, to share space, and to communicate silently in a way that words could never accomplish. When we consider the power of touch, particularly in the context of these 5 areas, the chest, lower back, neck, forearm, and handsit, becomes evident that the physical act of touching is not simply an isolated gesture, but a deeply integrated form of communication. The psychological and emotional responses elicited by touch in these areas transcend simple attraction. They create an environment where connection can flourish, where intimacy is deepened, and where the boundaries of mere interaction are stretched into the realm of profound emotional resonance. Touch in these areas reveals something of the person who initiates it, a willingness to engage, to be vulnerable, and to express emotions that might otherwise remain unspoken. It creates a dynamic where words become secondary, and the language of touch assumes greater importance. The fact that these touch points evoke such powerful responses in men speaks to the intricate interplay between physicality and emotion. It highlights the profound impact that small, seemingly insignificant actions can have in shaping the course of a relationship and fostering a deeper sense of connection. In the end, the power of touch cannot be overstated. It is a fundamental force in human interaction, one that transcends the conscious mind and taps directly into our emotional and psychological core. By understanding the places on a man's body that respond most powerfully to touch, we gain insight into the intricate ways in which touch serves as a gateway to deeper connection and emotional intimacy. Each of these areas, the chest, lower back, neck, forearm, and hand holds its own unique significance, offering a window into the complex interplay between the physical and emotional realms. As we explore these areas and the psychological responses they trigger, we come to recognize that touch is not just a physical act, but a profound form of emotional communication, one that is capable of transcending the ordinary and creating moments of deep connection and understanding. Touch transcends simple physical interaction and serves as a powerful nonverbal language that communicates deeper emotional states. It establishes trust, intimacy, and connection, going beyond superficial attraction to create profound emotional resonance in relationships. Certain areas of a man's body, such as the chest, neck, forearm, lower back, and hand, hold significant psychological meaning and trigger deep emotional and physical responses. These areas are not just sensitive, but are also emotionally charged, making them powerful tools for building intimacy and emotional connection. Touch is one of the most primal and deeply ingrained forms of communication. It predates spoken language and exists across cultures, languages, and species. From the moment we are born, touch becomes an essential part of how we interact with the world. It is a force that transcends words, sending messages and creating connections in ways that words alone cannot. This is why touch holds such profound power in human relationships. particularly when it comes to intimate interactions. In a world increasingly dominated by digital communication and superficial interactions, the act of touching can serve as a reminder of our deeper human need for connection and intimacy. Touch is unique in the sense that it communicates beyond the constraints of verbal language. Words can be misunderstood, misinterpreted, or even manipulated. But touch speaks a language of its own, a language that is felt rather than heard. This physical form of communication allows us to express our emotions, desires, and needs in a way that verbal communication cannot. It is instinctual, deeply rooted in our biology and psychology, which is why it can so profoundly affect us. Throughout human history, touch has always played a central role in social interaction. It is a fundamental aspect of how we relate to one another, whether in friendship, family relationships, or romantic connections. It is an essential part of how we convey affection, support, empathy, and understanding. Touch serves as a conduit for emotional expression, whether it's the comforting pat on the back from a friend, the warm embrace of a loved one, or the gentle caress from a romantic partner. These are all expressions of touch that communicate emotional depth and connection without the need for words. In many ways, touch serves as a bridge between the physical and the emotional. Our bodies are not merely vessels that transport us from one place to another, are tools that help us connect with others on a deeply emotional level. Through touch, we are able to communicate a wealth of information, feelings of safety, affection, longing, or even fear. A single touch can carry the weight of an entire conversation, expressing things that might take hours of words to convey. This is particularly true in intimate relationships, where touch becomes the primary means of expressing vulnerability, trust, and love. When we talk about touch as a language of connection, we must acknowledge its versatility. It has the ability to convey a wide range of emotions depending on the context, the intensity, and the way in which it is executed. The simplest touch can be a gesture of reassurance, a way of providing comfort to someone in distress. A gentle hand on the shoulder can calm anxiety and provide a sense of solidarity. In romantic relationships, touch can become even more complex, communicating passion, desire, and intimacy. A lingering touch on the hand, a soft brush of fingers, or a close embrace can evoke feelings of closeness, affection, and connection that words cannot fully capture. The psychological and emotional impact of touch cannot be overstated. Research in psychology and neuroscience has shown that human beings are hardwired to respond to touch. It activates areas of the brain associated with pleasure, comfort, and safety. When we are touched in a comforting or affectionate way, our bodies release oxytocin, the hormone often referred to as the love hormone. Oxytocin plays a critical role in bonding, attachment, and social connection. It helps us feel emotionally close to others and fosters a sense of trust and security. It is through touch that we are able to activate this bonding mechanism, which explains why it plays such a central role in human relationships. In romantic relationships, the act of touch can be particularly powerful. It is through touch that we express desire, attraction, and emotional closeness. Physical intimacy is a critical aspect of romantic connection, and the way we touch our partner can speak volumes about the strength and depth of the relationship. A simple touch can express affection and love in a way that words may struggle to do. When someone reaches out to touch you, it often communicates their desire for closeness, their longing for connection, and their care for your well-being. This can be as simple as a hand resting on the arm, a hand on the small of the back, or a kiss on the forehead. These physical gestures provide reassurance and communicate a deep sense of emotional investment. Touch also holds power in its ability to heal. For those experiencing pain, grief, or emotional turmoil, touch can provide a sense of comfort and relief. There is something incredibly soothing about the presence of another person who is willing to offer a comforting touch. Whether it is the warmth of a hug, the gentle stroke of the back, or a hand held in solidarity, these forms of touch can help alleviate emotional suffering and provide a sense of relief. It is a way of saying, without words, "I am here for you, and you are not alone." It is important to recognize that the language of touch is not one size fits all. Different people may respond to touch in varying ways based on personal preferences, cultural backgrounds, and past experiences. For some, touch may be a primary love language, a vital way of expressing and receiving affection. For others, touch may be less comfortable or even anxiety-inducing. The key to using touch as a language of connection is to be attuned to the other person's needs, preferences, and boundaries. Consent and mutual respect are critical in this process. Touch can only serve as a positive force for connection when both parties feel comfortable and safe in the interaction. Moreover, the context of touch is crucial. A touch that is seen as comforting in one scenario may be perceived as intrusive in another. For example, in a professional environment, a handshake may be the appropriate form of touch, while in a more personal relationship, a hug or a gentle hand on the shoulder may convey care and understanding. It is essential to be mindful of the context in which touch occurs, as this can greatly affect its meaning and impact. The beauty of touch as a language lies in its simplicity. It does not require mastery or skill. It simply requires presence and intention. A touch, whether subtle or bold, can have a profound impact on the recipient. It can speak volumes about how much you care, how much you understand, and how deeply you are invested in the relationship. Sometimes a touch is all that is needed to convey love, sympathy, gratitude, or desire. In the hustle and bustle of modern life, where words can often get lost in the noise, touch provides a means of grounding ourselves in the present moment. It is a direct and immediate way of connecting with others. As much as touch is about connection, it is also about presence. When we touch someone, we are communicating that we are here in this moment with them. Touch requires us to be present with the other person, to put aside distractions, and to engage fully in the experience. This is why a touch can be so powerful. It is a reminder that we are not alone, that we are seen and valued. It is an act of care and consideration, a way of saying, I recognize you and I am here for you. Touch as a language of connection also has the ability to break down barriers. In relationships that are struggling or strained, touch can serve as a bridge to healing. When words fail, touch can step in and create a space for reconciliation. It offers a way of rebuilding trust and intimacy when verbal communication is broken down. It's not always about solving problems with words. Sometimes, the simple act of reaching out and offering a touch is enough to communicate a desire for resolution and understanding. In the realm of romantic relationships, touch can also serve as a tool for creating a sense of intimacy and passion. Physical connection is often a reflection of emotional connection, and touch plays an essential role in maintaining the closeness that keeps the relationship strong. The way we touch our partner can communicate desire, admiration, and affection. Whether it's a brief caress or a lingering embrace, these moments of touch create a sense of shared experience, intimacy, and connection. Over time, the language of touch deepens the bond between two people, creating a foundation of trust and understanding that words alone may not achieve. The profound impact of touch on emotional well-being is not limited to romantic relationships. In friendships, family dynamics, and even professional settings, touch plays an essential role in fostering a sense of trust and emotional connection. Whether it's a comforting hug from a friend, a pat on the back from a colleague, or a reassuring touch from a parent, these gestures of physical connection provide support and comfort in times of need. In these moments, touch serves as a reminder that we are not alone, that we are cared for and supported. Touch is an essential form of communication in all human interactions, whether they are familial, platonic, or romantic. It is a language that transcends words, conveying emotions and building connections in a way that spoken language often cannot. Through touch, we communicate affection, support, intimacy, and love. It is a tool for healing, a medium for connection, and a powerful expression of emotional depth. In a world where technology often disconnects us from one another, touch serves as a reminder of the importance of human connection, presence, and care. It is, at its core, a language that allows us to connect with others on a deeply emotional level, one that is felt, not just understood. The power of touch is undeniable, but its significance becomes especially compelling when we examine the psychological impact of specific touch points on the human body. Different parts of the body respond to touch in unique ways, and the emotional and psychological reactions they provoke can vary greatly depending on the location and the context of the touch. Touch, especially when applied to particular areas of the body, can trigger powerful emotional responses that transcend the physical sensations alone. These touch points are not just about the immediate sensory experience, they serve as psychological gateways, influencing how individuals feel, perceive, and interact in intimate and social settings. The human body is full of areas that are not just physically sensitive, but are deeply interconnected with the mind and emotions. Certain regions hold symbolic and psychological significance, and the act of touching them can trigger complex, often subconscious emotional responses. These touchpoints are more than just skin, they represent vulnerability, trust, strength, and connection. By understanding these psychological touchpoints, we can gain insight into how people process emotions and the way intimacy, affection, and connection are communicated. One of the most profound touchpoints on the body is the chest, particularly the upper chest area. This region is extremely sensitive both physically and emotionally, largely because it is situated over the heart. The heart, as a symbol of vulnerability, emotion, and love, plays a significant role in human psychology. When the chest is touched, it elicits a deep, often subconscious emotional response. A soft touch to the chest can convey care, compassion, and affection, evoking feelings of safety and security. The chest is not just a place where physical sensations are felt, but is also connected to emotional states that are tied to feelings of love, empathy, and protection. Psychologically, the chest is closely associated with the concept of openness and receptivity. The heart is a traditional symbol of emotional openness, and when someone touches the chest, it can feel like an invitation to connect on a deeper level. A touch on the chest communicates vulnerability, as it is a region that many people guard instinctively. When someone touches this area gently and respectfully, it can create a sense of emotional intimacy, making the individual feel seen, understood, and cared for. In romantic relationships, touching the chest is often a sign of tenderness and affection, and it has the ability to create a deep emotional bond between individuals. It communicates a sense of comfort and reassurance, an emotional embrace that transcends mere physical contact. Similarly, the lower back is another region of the body that carries deep psychological significance. The lower back is a key area for both physical stability and emotional resilience. It is closely linked to the body's core strength and sense of support, which translates into psychological stability and safety. A touch on the lower back often communicates a sense of protection and support. It is a region that can feel particularly vulnerable because it is often less guarded than other parts of the body, and therefore a touch here can evoke a deep sense of trust and emotional grounding. Psychologically, the lower back is often associated with balance and well-being. A gentle hand placed on the lower back communicates reassurance, signaling that the person touching you is there to offer support and stability. This touch can help alleviate feelings of stress or anxiety, providing a sense of emotional grounding. In intimate settings, a touch on the lower back can convey a desire to nurture and protect, signaling that the person cares about your well-being. It is a psychological signal that says, "I've got you," both emotionally and physically. For many people, especially in moments of vulnerability or emotional distress, the lower back becomes a region where they seek comfort and solace. A touch here can create a sense of being cared for and secure, helping to reduce anxiety and build trust. Another area that plays a significant role in emotional response to touch is the neck. The neck is an incredibly sensitive area, both physically and psychologically. It is also one of the most vulnerable parts of the body, often left exposed to potential harm. This vulnerability gives the neck an emotional significance that transcends its physical sensitivity. The neck is a symbolic area for emotional submission, trust, and intimacy. When someone touches the neck, it conveys an unspoken message of trust and surrender, an acknowledgement of vulnerability. Psychologically, the neck is often associated with the ability to be emotionally open and receptive. A touch on the neck is highly personal and can make the recipient feel both desired and emotionally exposed. It's a place where tension can easily build, and therefore, a gentle touch on the neck can evoke a sense of relief and relaxation. It also sends a powerful signal of affection, desire, and connection. For many people, the neck is a zone that only close individuals are allowed to touch, and as such, it carries an emotional charge that speaks volumes about the closeness and intimacy of the relationship. A touch to the neck in a romantic context is deeply intimate, signaling not only physical attraction but also an emotional connection. Additionally, the hands represent one of the most profound and symbolic touchpoints on the body. Hands are used for many forms of expression, from the act of creating to the act of comforting. They are one of the primary ways we interact with the world around us, but they also carry deep emotional and psychological significance. The hands are often considered to be the most personal parts of the body when it comes to physical touch. A touch of the hands, whether it is a handshake, a gentle grasp, or a tender caress, can carry immense meaning in terms of connection and emotion.